Alrighty. Howdy neighbors and welcome back to Selene Apoptosis. Last time we saw Selene at the market. And then we had terrible dreams. Anyway, let's continue. Oh. Okay. Glad we're already starting. The coffee suddenly turned solid and stuck in his throat. It then felt as if it hadn't been coffee at all, but finely ground glass. He coughed. What? Hope put her elbows on the table and sipped from her cup as if nothing had happened.
ほとんど黒髪に近い、かなり暗めの色にしたいなって思う。
I was just thinking about becoming a brunette.
どう思う?
What do you say, huh? Oh no. I'm fine with everything as it is. As long as you like it, I guess. Tiny pieces of glass were still scratching him from the inside. He then tried to clear his throat, but it didn't get much better. But why were you thinking about it? Ethan struggled to speak. It felt as if he was falling into a pit, and the air was whistling in his ears.
だってイメチェンは大事じゃない?
Well, one has to change from time to time.
そう思わない?
Variety is good, isn't that right? She took another sip.
それに家中に黒髪が落ちてるのよ.
Besides, I found plenty of dark hair all over the apartment.
そんなに長くないけど、そんなに短くもなくて。
Not very long, you know. But not too short either.
このぐらいかな.
About this length. Even before Hope tapped her neck with the edge of her hand, Ethan knew where the hand would stop.
だから私が黒髪にしたらその髪が他の女の髪なんかじゃなくて私の髪だったって思えるでしょ?
And so I thought, if like a brunette, I could believe those hairs are mine. Hope's lips stretched and the corners of her mouth turned up. She wasn't smiling. This isn't happening. This just can't be happening. You must still be asleep. This is a dream, just a shitty dream, and it'll end. Now Ethan desperately wanted morning to come, but morning just couldn't come for the second time in a day. Hope leaned back in her chair and looked at him, with her head to one side, a fake smile smoldering on her lips. Something had to be done about it, all of it, right this moment. Look, something strange is going on. Yeah.
わかってる.
I could tell as much. Hope I'm serious. Something strange is going on and I have no explanations. Neither good nor bad, none at all. Oh, really?
多分私の方がわかってるかもしれないわね.
Actually, I might have an idea or two. Wait. I was saying that yesterday in the store. He then stopped short. Go on. Took a deep breath and closed his eyes. For a second, I didn't stare at that girl. I did, and it was obvious. I was trying to... She reminds me of someone. I was trying to figure out if I was mistaken. I know what it looks like, and it's my fault. He then decided to omit the part that about well-rounded buttocks under the light-flowing fabric. Not because he wanted to look better, but because he knew it would hurt Hope, and he really didn't want to hurt her. It's a little too late for that. Please forgive me if you can. I did a shitty thing, but I'm really sorry. Put his hand on the table so that their fingers touched a little. Hope didn't move away. Next time we go shopping, you can stare at anyone you like. I'll try my best not to cry. Can't promise anything, though. Hope winced, but Ethan knew she was hiding a smile.
そっか.
Alright then.
イケメンだけ見るわ.
But keep in mind I'll pick the hottest ones. I don't stand a chance, do I? She smiled wide and ruffled his hair.
絶対にね.
Absolutely. And about the hairs. First of all, disappears without a trace. I don't know where they came from. Seriously, there's something wrong here.
いいさ. 私は別に.
Ethan, please, I don't want to. No, listen, please. I really think that some intruder is getting us out of our apartment somehow. Do you believe me? Hope looked at him for a while. Then she shivered.
そうね。
Damn you, Ethan. Yes.
わかったわ。信じるわ。
I do believe you. I don't understand how this happens or what they want, but I think it's time to call the police and let them sort it out. It's their job after all.
多分まずはローラに電話した方がいいかも。
Maybe we should actually call Laura first. I think it's time. Yes, I'll do that as well. Hope presses his
じゃ
hand.
あ、二人とも狂わせないように約束しよう。
Let's promise each other we won't go crazy, okay? Too late.
私も変なものを見たのよ。
I also see things.
たくさんね。
All sorts of things.
髪のことだけじゃなくて、いろんなことを聞き始めたの。
I mean, sometimes you find hairs. Just some damn hairs. And you start questioning everything.
どうにかして二人でこの問題を乗り越えましょ
We just need to get through these dark times somehow.
う。なんとかなるわよ。
It'll get better. Hope is about to die, isn't she?
だい。
Sure it will. Ethan nodded. Yeah. Hope pressed his hand again and got it from the table.
じゃあ、もう行くわね。
Okay, I have to go now.
遅刻したら怒られちゃう。
I'll probably be late, and we'll have to hold up at work today. Should I meet you after? Maybe.
また電話するね。
I'll call you later, I guess. Hope. I love you.
私も
I love you too.
大好き。
Very much.
ちゃんとローラに電話してね。
Don't forget to call Laura. Ethan nodded absently. When the door shut behind Hope, Ethan called Laura. Hope found Laura a long time ago. He knew that Laura helped her a lot. At least that's what Hope herself said. Ethan didn't know any details nor wanted to, since Hope hadn't told him. After all, psychotherapy is a very personal matter. So personal that Ethan felt as if he was standing naked in the middle of a busy street when he had to describe what was happening to him. Apparently, one can get used to this too, as by the middle of the story he was sparing no detail. To his surprise, when he mentioned the disturbing emails from his contact that were kind of getting him nervous, Laura perked up. You're saying you have recently become quite close to your acquaintance. You empathized and tried to help him, right? Well, yeah, something like that. And your contact's letters contained vivid, disturbing imagery, yes? Imagery that evoked a certain response from you. Is that right? You could say that. He's right after all. Vivid images are his livelihood. Oh, this is attractive. Do you know what induced delusional disorder is, Mr. Harrison? Ethan tried to recall. He definitely read about it, but didn't look into much detail. Is that the thing that explains mass insanity? Like the dancing plague of 1518 in Strasbourg. That's right. This disorder is called a folie à deux, or madness for two. Sounds romantic, doesn't it? Laura giggled. Ethan thought she herself was not all too sane. Of course she wasn't. She has to deal with the guys like me all the time. But Laura had already returned to her usual tone, calm and measured. This condition causes perfectly healthy people to experience various, let's say, negative effects. It works like this. We have a source of delirium in those who perceive it. One or more people. As you correctly noted, sometimes the disorder can take on a truly massive scale. There is usually an emotional connection between the victims of this condition. Your wife's soul's at risk, unfortunately. Laura paused. I can't make a diagnosis in such a format, Mr. Harrison. However, I think you should limit contact with your acquaintance, at least for the time being. You might be the source to the unpleasant state you're experiencing. Would you like to make an appointment for a consultation? Ethan politely declined. Laura listened to the rest of what he had to say. She asked what pills Ethan was taking. Ethan wasn't taking any except aspirin, because he had a lot of headaches lately. She advised him to reduce the workload, follow the daily routine, and take light sedatives as necessary, something herbal maybe. Without meeting in person, there wasn't much Laura could offer, and Ethan had no energy, time, or money to start a full-on therapy, as Hope called it. Ethan thanked Laura with all of his heart, finished the call, stretched, and took a deep breath that made his ribs ache. Then he smiled. Though no full-on therapy was involved, this conversation still made Ethan feel much better. The reality made sense again. Nothing out of the ordinary was happening. Nothing he couldn't handle. He stretched again and was about to go for another cup of coffee when his breath, the steady, deep breath of a man who's in control, caught his throat. Ethan felt the small hairs on his neck stand up, so I was looking at the back of his head. Ethan turned around slowly. Calling the police. Ethan spoke each word loud and clear. It was a decent plan. An actually decent one. And it certainly wasn't funny in any way. And yet the girl sitting at the window sill was silently laughing, covering white teeth with his hand. The girl from the supermarket. The girl from the dream. She was still wearing the light white dress, even though in the morning temperature dropped to 53 degrees Fahrenheit, and it was going to rain. One of the straps fell down to the side, but the girl was in no hurry to put it back. She swung her crossed legs a little, looked at Ethan from under her brow, with the smile of a child who had a hilarious mischief in mind. Did I say something funny? Bo quietly raised her eyes and shrugged slightly, still holding back a smile. Just before, she did not make a sound. Ethan even assumed that she was mute, but decided to make one last attempt. Just one question, and he calls the cops. Girl put her lean finger with the neat black nail to her lips, while the fingers of the other hand shaped the figure of a man. She pointed at the figure with her eyes. He felt sick of the farce that was happening. He thought he should call the cops immediately, then clutching the phone, continued to hang limply. The finger man looked around and started walking along the window slope with his finger legs. 1, 2, 3. Hey! Then something else happened. Ethan failed to understand what it was. As what the finger man was walking on the sill, and the girl was making it with her other hand. She smiled wildly and put both palms on his chest. She looked absolutely happy. I was invited. And then she has a gloomy look at Ethan. Her black eyes gave a cold glimmer. It's truly rude to come in without an invitation. A moment later, the girl reached for something behind her back, quickly pulled it to her lips, and took a sip. Ethan's throat became tight with blood that abruptly rushed to his head. Where did you get this? The girl traced Ethan's gesture with a genuinely surprised look. The next moment, she parted her fingers. Hope's huge, colorful cup, the one they just got from the store. Tangled hurtfully had struck the floor, shattered to pieces. And just like that, there was a brief moment when the cup was laying peacefully on the floor. He then got enough time to hope it would endure the fall. And the fragments burst everywhere at once, as the furious white light broke out from inside of it. But no, that was milk. Just a milk. You shouldn't have spooked me, you know.
ほら、カップが割れちゃったじゃん。
No,
あ
now
あ、
look
カ
what
ッ
you've
プ
done.
かわいそう。
The poor cup is so broken.
こんなに粉々になっちゃって。
So many eeny meeny tiny
本
pieces.
当にどうしようもできない。
No way to mend it at all. Ethan was suffocating. What the hell are you doing here? What do you want from me? The girl bit her lip and twisted a fallen shoulder strap between her fingers. The top of the dress slid even lower.
出てけってこと？
I want me to leave.
でもそうしたら
But I'm Aaron and Hope.
ドアの真ん前でね。
Right at the door, Ethan.
ホープは定期を忘れてったからもうすぐ戻ってくると思うよ。
She forgot her past and will be here any
会
minute.
っちゃったらどうする？
What will the poor girl think? The girl looked over her shoulder and her face instantly lit
あ
up.
れ？
Oh, whoa.
ホープだ。
It's her.
もう戻ってきたんだ。
Here she is.
すごくいいタイミング。
Hope is simply amazing, accurate to the minute.
こんにちは。
Hello, hello. The girl turned over on her stomach, leaned on the sill and waved vigorously to someone invisible. Her dress completely slid down. That bitch. Ethan would bet her tits were flashing right through the window. Ethan couldn't see it, but he knew. He felt that Hope was really standing down there. She was looking at the window, of course, although she couldn't see much anymore, as the blurry veil covered her eyes. Hope slowly turned around and stared at him, with her eyes wide, without blinking. Her shoulders shook as if she was going to cry. She was laughing. At first there was a couple of stifled laughs, making laughter of someone who had heard a good joke. Gradually turned into wild barking screams. He has to stop it, right now. They wanted to rush to the window, but just took one step and froze in place. She almost be out of her mind. She's stoned or worse. She might have a syringe. He doesn't want any more problems. He only wants this thing removed from his windowsill. Rolled it in a steel box and dumped somewhere in the middle of the Atlantic. He still had his phone in his hand. Oh! 911? Was the just your emergency? The bitch shrank, hunched, but kept cackling like a pack of coyotes yelping in the moonlit night. She was writhing with laughter, and the pale rags of dry, flappy skin were shaking in a rhythm of her movements, her dress looking like a death shroud. He suddenly thought she was much older than he thought at first. What's going on? He looked at her for the last time, a mixture of hate and disgust in his eyes, and away, running his fingers through his hair. A stranger in my apartment. A woman. It was like they were on drugs, just insane. Could you see it right now? Ethan could only see the wall in front of him, but he heard the deafening howl. It was echoing throughout his skull, beating into his temporal bones like a desperate bird. Ethan clenched his teeth. Yes, she had a weapon. Maybe. She threatened me. He'd leave the apartment. No. The Scum couldn't escape. Now I wanted to get... Ethan hesitated. I can't hear you, sir. What is happening? Speak up. I can't hear you. What's happening? Frank laughter kept echoing in Ethan's ears. There was no one behind him. Well, this is bit of gas. He pushed the window slowly, as if it was happening in a dream. The shards of Hope's cup crunched over his feet, as if before the window was closed. He opened it and carefully looked down. He didn't see the body. Too good to be true, but he had to check. Only the gray pavement that gradually turned black, as it actually started raining. He looked across the street, just in time to notice the familiar cream-colored coat disappearing behind a corner of a nearby house. Hope! Hope! He screamed so loud that something snapped his throat, but she couldn't hear him. Maybe she didn't want to hear her. Ethan called her at least 100 times. Hope didn't answer. Ethan thought he could come to her office, but eventually decided it would only make things worse. The police were in his apartment 23 minutes, 40 seconds later. He didn't find signs of forced entry, and the call record, as Ethan found out, had nothing that resembled laughter or howling. No extraneous sounds, the officer said. Hope returned sometime between late at night and early in the morning. The skin on her cheekbones were taut and almost transparent. There were deep shadows under her eyes, like she hadn't slept in a long time. She smelled of strong alcohol. He then went out of the dark room to her. He didn't sleep and didn't turn on the light either. Things that lurked in the dark, real or imagined, no longer frightened him. He even wished that something he had been dreading for the past month. He finally could name the feeling he had. What come out of the greasy blackness of the shadows and snapped his neck. But everything in the apartment was mockingly calm. Except for Ethan himself. Hope. Hope stared at him in silence, swearing a little. Instead of pupils, she had dark holes. I've been thinking a lot about what I would say to you if you came back. What I can't say. Hope's face showed no emotion. It seemed like she didn't even blink. Anyway, I realized that I can only tell the truth no matter how crazy it sounds. If I try to cheat, it only gets worse, right? He gave a short, nervous laugh. Anyway, he then had plenty of time to think of what he was going to say, but he still didn't know where to start. Some time ago, I don't remember exactly, I started singing Girl. Who is she, Ethan? I don't know. It's Sophie. Who? Sophie Wolf. A student from the online course on. Hope made a vague gesture with her hand. Movies from the late Victorian era. Ethan didn't know why he said that, but Hope obediently repeated it in a flat voice. I remember you were really impressed with her. You always liked smart girls. And this one was also beautiful. Hope this isn't what you think. Think? Who says I think? God, that's such a mood. Thinking's too painful. God, that's such a mood. Wait, hold on. Ethan disappeared into the room and came back a few minutes later. The darkness of the hallway was diluted by the light of the screen. Hope covered her eyes with her hand, either from the brightness of the screen itself or because she didn't want to see whatever it was. What is it all about? Here, look. It's Sophie Wolf. On the screen, in fact, was the profile of Sophie Wolf, his student. In the photo, Sophie was squinting, either from the bright sun or because her red, curly hair was getting in her eyes. A small brown-haired girl snuggled up with her with a shy smile. They're a nice couple. If I remember right, they had a wedding this year. And who is? I don't know. And honestly, I don't care. I just want her out of my life, but this bitch follows me. She used to follow me. But now I don't think I'll ever see her again. Is it good or bad? Hope, please. If you want to leave, I'll understand, but if you're willing to give me a chance, I promise I'll do my best to mend it all. He couldn't really promise, but he was too eager for the nightmare, real or imagined, to finally end. No more stories, please, Hope. I don't need anyone but you. So can you give... He couldn't finish because Hope kissed him. Back at the floor with a thud. The rest of the night actually went fine. Well, even more than that. Except the fact that they were too busy to get any sleep. I was not a fan of that. Thank you. I hated it, actually. I'm a little sweaty. In fact, everything was going okay until the moment when, instead of Hope's face, just for a moment Ethan saw. He couldn't tell her. He mumbled something about not feeling well and collapsed on his back, panting. He closed his eyes so that Hope wouldn't accidentally catch a glimpse of what he saw. Nothing happened. It wasn't real. It's fine. She understands, Hope said. Something changed. Excuse me. Has something changed? I remember her face. Yay! Oh, there's more. Where's Timo? Let's look for him together. Maybe he's up the tree chasing the birds. No, I can't see him. Maybe he's in the reeds watching the fish. No and no. Let's look some more. Let's look at these squiggles. Oh! Maybe he's on the roadside under the blue plastic bag. He's not there. 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 He is not present. Wowie wow wow. He's not there. 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 He is there. He's not 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 there. Okay. Cool. So he's sometimes present, sometimes not. The conditions of love. Oh, what have you done? I wanted to save you. I wanted to save both of us. You fool. That's right. But I can't just lose you. It's too late. It's never too late as long as we have each other. Oh, Elijah. Cool. Oh wait, I just saw. Oopsie. And the car. And then rerun. What's the rerun? Oh, just I remember her face. Alright, fine. Whatever. Cool. Okay. Anything here? No. Back we go. Something changed. June 11th. I had a really weird dream today. Hope is okay. I'll go and look for him. I should have closed the darn window. October 8th. I got an F for the essay. Mom will be mad. The bus driver said that it was good and I should keep writing. He's nice, but I'd rather have a B anyway. Her mom is into Alright, cool. Back to the action. The concave muzzles of Persian cats stared back at him. All that was required of Ethan, he had to call the cattery. A simple task, but Ethan hesitated. Bad for him to get used to the idea of one of those pop-eyed creatures walking around their apartment. During the day, it will nap where it pleases, and at night, take it to the kitchen to play with the shadow that moved by its own. And his eyes will turn into two saucers of black and green nacre as the light reaches them. Many people believed cats could walk between worlds and see spirits. Looking at Persians, Ethan hardly believed they could even breathe on their own. And yet, in this, Ethan Harrison from the 21st century agreed with the ancient people. There's something sinister about them. In any case, he should call the cattery. For hope's sake. For the sake of them both, since he had to make the decision. Ethan had already picked up the phone and was about to proceed with the plan when he heard the key turn in the entrance door. Something about that wound him up. It was barely 5 o'clock in the evening. which was, in any way, very early for Hope to be back. If everything was fine, that is. He closed his laptop and went out into the hallway. For a long time, he couldn't say a single word. And when he could speak again, he only managed one question. What have you done? Her smile faded. For the first time in 4.5 or even 5 years, they'd been a couple. Ethan was glad for it. Oh, no. Why? Oh. It's not a good color for you. But there's nothing surprising about it. As with the new haircut and the new hair color, Hope looked unbearably, insanely similar to the creature at the window. Hope's lips turned white, trembling. This didn't help, did it? Any of it? You can't love me even now, right? What are you talking about? Isn't it obvious? I see how you look at me. You're disgusted. Try to touch me as little as possible. No matter what I do, no matter what I try, it doesn't help. Admit it, you never loved her. You didn't, right, Ethan? She was convenient, and that's about it. Shit makes the flowers grow. The flowers grew so much, didn't they, Ethan? Didn't they? Ethan would never hit his wife. More than that, he would never hit a woman. But what spoke to him was neither his wife nor a woman. It was a nightmare incarnate that bared its long, sharp teeth, and it came to take away his right for a second chance. Or so Ethan thought at the time. The punch turned out somewhat pathetic. But you have to take into account that wife beating is not a fairground attraction. When you hit your wife properly, a mark does not fly up in the headlight saying, with the highlighted sign, a good one. Although this was indirectly related to the early Renaissance, Ethan had expertise in the matter, hence his old man's fists used to itch often. If there was something like that, he would know. However, if any sign would light up at the moment, it would say something like, "You're scum, Ethan." No. He kept repeating that even after Hope stormed out the door in tears. Husband of the year, let's go. Snaps for that. I kid, don't beat your wife. The background's getting staticky. Ethan barely remembered the following few days. Something seemed to be happening. People called him. He himself called a lot. He called Hope. Hope wasn't answering the phone. He knew this would happen. If he never dialed her number, he knew he'd end up listening to the voicemail signal. It became something of a ritual. He'd wake up. Sometimes it was light outside, sometimes dark. More often, it was something gray that he neither could nor would want to identify because of the drawn curtains. He'd call Hope. Hope went into the phone. Go to the kitchen and turn the water on. He'd watch the silver twisted stream break against the sink for a while. Eventually, he'd put a cup out of the stream, fill it to the brim. Drink. Go to the bathroom. Back to the couch. Too bad to be true. All of this can't be real. Life can't crumble into pieces in an instant, just collapse inwards, like a wooden block tower. Ethan couldn't remember the name of that game. Once he and Hope once he and Hope went to sea. He and Hope. It's too bad. All of this can't be real. He didn't do anything. Could it be that he didn't do anything? No, he hit Hope. He hit her, and the red blood spread across her cheek. It was too dark to see, but Ethan knew how it goes. How could he do that? What happens now? What could happen now? The thoughts were like a bunch of needles he tried to swallow over and over. Sometimes he managed to briefly forget about them. It would happen when he woke up in the gray timelessness, looked at the dirty white ceiling, didn't remember who that Ethan Harrison was. But the pain would always come back. He had a bunch of needles in his throat. No matter how much water he drank, he couldn't get rid of it. Hope's father shook him up a bit. Not in a sense he could have done it, grabbing a hold of him, loading him off the ground. Hope's father was a tough man, and despite his age, he could have hit Ethan hard. Ethan was afraid of it, but at the same time he wanted it to happen. It would have made everything easier. Maybe even fixed it all. Ethan was going over it in his head when he stared at the phone screen displaying a familiar number. He was awfully scared, yet he answered. Turned out Hope had asked her father to pack for her. Mr. Merley's voice was flat, maybe even a bit uncertain. Worst of all, he wasn't angry. This plunged Ethan into despair. He couldn't get the redemption like this. However, the upcoming visit forced Ethan to gain his senses. It shoved him back into reality, like a stream of people pushing one into a crowded subway train. He tidied the place a bit. He shaved. He figured out what to say. Several times he rehearsed his speech in front of the mirror. It was before Mr. Morales arrived. Ethan left the keys with the neighbors. Simply put, he fled. Of course, he warned Mr. Morales beforehand, with a message, because he didn't have heart to call. Ethan wanted Mr. Morales to pack up what he had to and get out as soon as possible. Mr. Morales wasn't going to help. That's for sure. He wasn't going to help, which meant he simply got between Ethan and his wife. Ethan was angry at Mr. Morales, like he was the source of all the trouble. Anger was boiling up inside of him, mixing with cheap coffee and turning into caustic acid. There was nothing ritual about this feeling. Irrational, excuse me. Once I learn how to read, everything's going to go great. Then had plenty of time to think about it, to weigh it, to examine it under a magnifying glass. He was sitting in a small cafe on the corner of the street until the streets got dark. He would have stayed there even longer if the waiter hadn't come to his table to tell the place was closing. He nodded absently and asked for a moment to use the restroom. Again, there was nothing rational about this. Again, there was nothing rational about being angry with Mr. Morales. And to be honest, it was pathetic. Just like hitting your wife and then running away not to face her father. You're scum, Ethan. Worthless scum. Ethan turned off the tap and stared at his reflection in a large mirror. A few drops of water trembled at the tip of his nose and chin. Now that was a proper punch. Sir, I'm sorry, but Sir? Are you okay? You have blood oozed from his split lip. Ethan wiped it with the back of his hand. Yeah, I'm fine. Sorry, I didn't mean to keep you. He smiled. The flesh wound got swollen with blood again. The red blood spread across his face, just as it should. Ethan didn't lie to the waiter. Something changed. Allow it just completely derail the secrets of anatomy. Example 1. Example 2. Example 3. Example 4. A rare specimen. The screaming man is hiding here. Ductus nasolacrimilis? Lacrimilis? I can't read. Secrets of Anatomy, we just... Happy Dreamland! Happy Dreamland! Mary is a lamb. Johnny is a tree. And who's a little liar? Can I read? Aaliyah? Aliejah. I think that's Aaliyah. This has been a gas. Alright. Back to the action. Ethan didn't lie to the waiter. He really was fine. Maybe not in the same manner as before, but the gears in his head are starting to move again. When he got home, Mr. Morales had already left. Turned out that he didn't even take the keys from the neighbors. First, Ethan assumed Mr. Morales would cancel the visit. As soon as he opened the door, his deficits appeared. A strong and familiar scent was filling the hallway. It could be Mr. Morales' cologne, and the smell of the apartment itself, with Hope's presence, faded away. Mr. Morales must have taken his daughter's keys. Somehow the possibility never crossed Ethan's mind before. He drew the air in through his nostrils and suddenly felt as sharp and clear as in that dream he had days ago. Something was going to happen. Ethan looked around the empty, dark room and reached for the phone. To perform the ritual. Or was he hoping that something would go different this time? Short beefs. Ethan thought it was safe to say something was already happening. He only had to figure what and where. Something had changed in the picture, and it's not that Hope's favorite blouse is missing from the closet. If you find the difference, you win. If you find the difference, you'll know where the gears are taking you. A hallway. Hi. Don't like this very much. Pot-bellied bowls on the dresser, full of gibberish and dust. The kitchen. Why you in the kitchen? Why are there eyeballs in the kitchen? An uneven row of glass jars on the shelf, and an empty coffee maker, bearing dry blackness at the bottom. Servants hoisted knives, some of them really sharp. The bathroom. I don't want it. Mirror on the wall, and the reflection of the closed doors open. No, not here. What about? Ethan licked his split lip. Yeah, that's it. He had to check his email now. I hate it. Ethan was looking carefully. It seemed like a lot of time had passed. The mailbox full of various emails, but Ethan barely glanced at the names. He was looking for something special. What was special about, say, letters from the agency that were gradually becoming more and more concerned. At some point, concern turned into cold and aggressive. Ethan idly skimmed through the notice of contract termination. Not what he was looking for. Valid! He started with the oldest emails and scanned the list all the way to the top. Nothing. Maybe he was looking in the wrong place. Maybe there's just nothing to look for. No, something is happening. He only had to figure what and where. He got so close to the accurate answer to those questions. The light of new knowledge could have burned out his eyes. Why is the room red? On top of the list was an untitled letter. Maybe Ethan missed it the first time, Maybe it wasn't there before. The sender was the same writer Ethan had volunteered to help, completely and free of charge. Ethan's lungs turned into a deflated pool ball. And he clicked on the name of the letter. Without a name. Sorry. Plus the letter actually had a name. All clients carefully add untitled to the empty line, just in case you lose it when you type your email. Because something got out of that open door in the bathroom mirror. The poor guy begged Ethan to come. He all said he couldn't sleep. He was scared, exhausted, and didn't know who else to ask. Something will get him very soon, if he won't figure anything out. He didn't know if it was related to the work he was doing. He didn't know how to drive away what had settled in his house. He only knew that something enormously hungry was looking at him from the darkness. I know what I mean, right? Oh, Ethan knew. By the time he finished writing the letter, Ethan already knew what he should do. The acquaintance didn't know if it all had any relation to the work he was doing. But what about Ethan's work? Could his research shed light on what lay dormant in the dark and awaken it? Was it Ethan's avid curiosity, or the question that teased his appetite? You know, it was cursed. The chicken or the egg? Why not both? Ethan was angry. Angry as hell. He wanted to end it, all of it, once for all. He wanted to face his fear, even if the fear was no longer his own. Even if it was crawling through the wires and climbing communication towers to breathe out its noxious spores into the air. Why are you looking? Take a picture, it'll last longer. Ethan was angry, but also terrified. What he wanted to think was a delusion took root and grew stronger as he tried to deceive himself. It was incorporeal as the email in his mailbox, yet at the same time as real. Ethan wanted to face the fear so that it would take a shape and a name. A box in which that fear could fit. Maybe then he could have dealt with it. We got the moon. That's why when Ethan got behind the wheel of his old sedan, he wasn't doing it for the writer who was tormented by the shadows. He was doing it for himself. Hell yeah, fight the power. In the email, the acquaintance described in detail how to find his house and how to get inside. Too much detail, as if he had already resigned to his fate. Something would get him very soon, and he wouldn't figure anything out. This is just a notice, Mr. Harrison. A notice of life termination. It happens when you look into the abyss for too long. Looking isn't enough, is it? You shine a flashlight into it, throw stones, and whistle frantically, like a vandal who managed to get into an abandoned house. You're not driving properly. You're excited and terrified. Then only terror remains as you realize the door was slammed shut behind you and the handle won't budge. Thought made Ethan speed up, and then just abruptly hit the brakes. The wheels let out a short, hysterical shriek. The car swerved and stopped at the side of the road. Blood was pouring out of his ears. Ethan's breath came in short gasps, his eyes searching blindly in the dark. Calming down, Ethan pretended. Who was he trying to fool? Night road is empty. He was examining his navigator. But there was but one thought in his head. What is he doing? What the hell is he doing? It seemed like he asked it out loud. There was no one to answer. It's not too late to turn back. The car around, go back to the city, to the apartment, lay down on the sofa and sleep till the morning comes. In the morning, we'll call Hope again and... The thought was cut short. Actually, it didn't lead anywhere from the very beginning. A dead end. The truth was, he had no place or reason to go back. He wanted to go back to the past. To that task. Oh, and that task was beyond him, or his old Toyota. In the present, he had nothing left but the granite gray road ahead and a decision to go. If he hurried, he might still be able to help. The car slowly took off. The rest of the way, there wasn't much left. Ethan was thinking about his acquaintance. Or were they friends? Probably. You don't take acquaintances for a journey at the bottom of the abyss, do you? Ethan was thinking about his friend. How long he had been awake in particular. It had been, Ethan glanced at his phone in the open glove box, quite a long time. A month or so, judging by the emails. How long can a person stay awake? The question followed his car silently. Ethan drove into the suburbs and turned the car around on Deputy Road. The 25-mile-per-hour speed limit road sign at the bend of the road seemed as white as an old bone. Ethan turned down Sycamore Road. The lawn in front of the house of House 8 was overgrown with tall grass. So tall, as if it hadn't been touched for how long could a person stay awake? Ethan thought it was probably the rainy weather. He didn't remember much of the past week, but he was pretty sure about the rain. Even now, the ground was still damp and springy underfoot. Yes, it must be the rain. Humidity can make grass grow faster. We got out of the car. A shadow detached from the trees near the house. It stiffened, then eased a moment later. The figure quickly walked away along the narrow concrete path. Just a passerby. Ethan watched him go. The concrete beneath his boots gave way to gravel. He then walked past the sprawling hemlock covered with rosettes of small white flowers. The bush reached up to mid-thigh. All the windows were dim, no lights anywhere. The house stood a little way off, dark, quiet, and still as the night itself. Almost like the house was slumbering along with its host. For a moment, Ethan felt stupid and was about to turn back to his car, but he stayed after all. He was invited. No, not that. He was called for help. Maybe he and his friend got a little too stressed, and that's all. Induced delusional disorder in its glory. Maybe Ethan was desperate to be needed, so he jumped at the chance of being someone's savior. Perhaps his unfortunate friend had finally fallen asleep. Disturbing him was a bad decision bad decision overall. Well, Ethan was fine with that. He wanted to make sure everything was okay. They firmly knocked on the door. No one answered, neither the first time nor the third. No lights came on any of the rooms. There was no sound behind the door. One of the windows on the second floor was open. And they moved away from the porch to try to get a better look. No movement. The house was asleep, and his sleep resembled torpor. What? Ethan himself came to think he might be dreaming. But if two people share the same dream, is that any different from reality? Slowly, as if it had really been a dream, Ethan went to the flower tub the letter had mentioned, and took the spare key from the hiding place. Just slowly, he returned to the door. The key rattled 3 times in the lock, and the door drifted inward into the darkness. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and end this episode here. So thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you later.